that sometimes in a male and female environment, women also have power. They have power. They have power, and that is also one of the factors of sexual harassment. Sometimes the way women come across, that power, you have power A and power B, is influenced by that power. And so sexual harassment is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. Much as I do agree to a large extent that normally women suffer the negative aspect of sexual harassment, it's also important that if we define power as having a resource that a dependent wants and making you powerful, then in the workplace, it can also create, look at this, it says that any unwanted activity of a sexual nature that affects an individual's employment and creates a hostile work environment. Now, when we talk about hostile work environment, it can be coming from a man creating a hostile environment. And I know that happens a lot, but hostile environment can also be created by a woman for a man. So that's why I believe that sexual harassment is a two-way street. But I also do believe that women suffer a lot for that. So it's important that when we talk about issue of sexual harassment, we understand that it's about an equal power relationships. Okay, let's move on. It talks about overt actions like unwanted touching are relatively easy to spot. Sometimes people may be harassed sexually through touch, and we know that women go through this a lot. We will not take that away at all, that women are abused in that manner. It can also be subtle actions like jokes or looks come across over the line, can cross over the line into harassment. Sometimes the way you look at somebody or comments or jokes you pass by at somebody can move into sexual harassment. So look at the points here. It says sexual harassment isn't about sex, it is about abusing an equal power relationship. Abusing. And I do know, and I'm sure you agree with me, you can let me know, some women can abuse the power they have. So let's not just look at it from that one-sided, that you can abuse the power you have. Much as men can also abuse the power, perhaps legitimate power sometimes, it can also happen at the other side. Now, harassment, remember, can damage the well-being of individuals. When you are harassed, you do not look forward to going to work. I'm sure there may be people in the class who may have suffered this. And there may be people in the class who are also harassing, possibly. I hope you listen to this lecture well. You do not use your power to harass people. You do not use your power to influence people in a negative way, to let them kowtow to your demands because of an equal power relationship. Now, there are some disagreements about sexual harassment. Many surveys look at women's view on this issue, but in the motto, it happened to be a motor company that has a certain kind of educational outlets. They carried out a survey in 2017 across the United States, and 750 men spoke about sexual harassment. And the responses that they had in respect of the men responses on sexual harassment was surprising. So some of their responses were surprising. Many men are not even sure what sexual harassment is. You see, so it means that when you are passing comments about somebody which is harassment, no doubt about it, when you are using your power to take an advantage of a lady or a woman, you say you do not know that it is harassment. Well, 750 is a large number. So it means that if that is what is coming out, then we cannot overlook that. So people think that it's part of their fringe benefits, isn't it? If I will power, then it's part of my fringe benefits to abuse other women with it. That is what this is saying to us. So it tells you the seriousness of sexual harassment in our environment today. That men are abusing women with their legitimate power largely, and the research from this Instamoto is saying that men do not even know what sexual harassment is. The answer therefore means that there should be a lot of education on sexual harassment. But it is simply an equal power relationship and using your power to abuse other people. Now let's look at the other saying. Means the respondents that we have, 1 in 3 respondents don't think catcalling is sexual harassment. Catcalling is basically just like a lady walking past by, and then you pass negative comments about them because of their features, or sometimes you walk past a place and people be whistling and calling names and all that. This is catcalling. How can men not know that this is harassment? How can men not know? That when you call people names and you make them feel uncomfortable, and you walk past a certain hall sometimes and they call people names and they shout on them and they say all kinds of, you do not know that this is harassment. Well, it also means that perhaps the punishment for harassment is so it does not even exist, because if people are punished for harassment, maybe they know what harassment is. Now 2 in 3 don't think that repeated and wanted invitation to drinks, dinner or dates is sexual harassment. It is. If somebody, you are constantly calling this person, can we go out for lunch, or can we go out and have some fun and enjoy ourselves and all that, and this person is turning down your invitation, just think about it. If every time around 12 o'clock your phone rings and this person says, can we go out for lunch, and you say, thanks very much, I'm all right, I brought my sandwich, I'll just try and have it. The next day you get a call around the same time, can we go out for lunch? I'm certain that it will begin to harass you. You don't want to have anything to do with a person, but the person continues to bother you. That is harassment. And say that nearly 1 in 5 don't think sexual harassment is a fireable offense. That is men. Nearly 20% of men interviewed are saying that they do not think that, and this is about 150, isn't it? 20% of 750 to be 150 of men do not think that sexual harassment is a fireable offense. So that no wonder men they score very low on this issue of harassment. For me, I think that it has to do with the education and also the punishment that comes with it. Let me go through this and then I'll quickly take some 1 or 2 comments and then we'll bring the class to a close. Look at this. Majority, according to a Washington Post survey, majority of Americans say that sexual harassment in the workplace is a serious problem in the United States. This one is a positive one, isn't it? So men know. Nearly 2/3 of American men say that nearly 2/3 of Americans say men who sexually harass female co-workers usually get away with it. That's a huge number. Almost the same number of the people who say that, oh, we know that sexual harassment is a serious case, the same people go to harass. Can you imagine? In the same research. So it strikes me that people know, but they pretend they do not know. And the only way they will stop is when they are punished. Okay? When people are punished for sexually harassing women, seriously punished, then they will change their lifestyle. The interesting thing I've seen about life, I don't know whether you are aware about the men who harass women a lot, they end up giving birth to a lot of females. Now, I want to look at this and then I'll take some comments. Disagreements as to what specifically constitutes sexual harassment. So you see that more or less men are playing, pardon my French, dumb to say that they don't know what is sexual harassment. They are playing dumb that they don't know what is sexual harassment. But if they don't know, this is it. It includes unwanted physical touching. So if you don't know, recurring requests for dates when it is made clear the person isn't interested. Remember that interested. If the person is interested, it is not. Coercive threats, that is the norm, that a person will lose her or his job if she or he refuses a sexual proposition. There are people who have gotten jobs because they have to be abused by somebody else. You should never allow that to happen to you. I don't see how you can forgive yourself if you did that, but people will do that even for them to get a position. That would be a sad. The lowest level one can stoop is to give yourself up sexually for a position. Okay? Be the voice that will speak up against this so that this anomaly will not be entertained. Be the voice. don't fall for it. And then also other subtle forms. Pause and take comments. More subtle forms, hard to interpret, unwanted looks or comments. So people pass unwanted looks. Remember when we pass the comments, or these comments are passed, and you smile and as if you're enjoying it, then that is not harassment. But if indeed you don't like the comments, you must say, sorry, Mr. Paul, I really am not happy about this, please. I don't want us to have this experience again. You must deal with it. But when you are smiling as if you want it, as if you don't want it, then that is a different thing. Off-color jokes. When jokes are unacceptable, they might be called as such. Okay? Sexual artifacts, such as nude calendars in the workplace. Some people do that. They do that. They have nude. I'm not talking about any kind of harmless, but some intentionally display this. It's harassment. Sexual innuendos. You do things that give some implication, kind of pointers. Misinterpretation of where the line between being friendly ends and harassment begins. You harass somebody, the person makes a case and they say, oh, I was just playing with you. No, you knew you were wanting to harass. So remember that I'm emphasizing this because of the seriousness of harassment when you are found guilty of it. The University of Ghana makes a big deal of harassment. It makes a big deal of harassment. We have a sexual harassment policy in the university, and no one should allow herself to be harassed. Nobody. If you think that you are being harassed, there is a committee in the university that deals with harassment, and you should report it. So harassment is real because of an equal power relationship. And as I indicated, men also can be harassed. You can also report. But we know that I say that with a smile on my face because I know that most times it's the women who are harassed. I want to quickly go through these comments and then we will bring the class to a close. So the expertise, that's the expertise they must have, the good leaders. I don't get this, but let's see. Okay, so when I talked about sexual harassment, Matilda said, hey, okay, then Daniel said, so they normally will shout on you when they're passing. Come on, for those days, especially when your outfit is red. Okay, so that's harassment. Yes, I know what you are talking about because I didn't do that, but we know people who do that. Persistence breaks resistance. Now and go there. Betty is smiling all over the place, and sometimes you are not in red, but the cat call alone makes you stumble. Yes, it's true. And then Bright seems to be enjoying what is going on. All right. Really, I see your hand. I'll just take some one or two comments, and we have to bring the class to a close. At least I managed to do 2/3 of what I had in mind. I remember what was done to me at a Brickers in my SHS days. Well, Theophilus, what was done to you? Were you harassed? Theophilus, we want to hear from you.
I'm muted.
Rini, you have the floor. Please, do you have any question you want to ask before we bring the class to a close? Theophilus. Yeah, Rini, I'm saying that you have the floor and your hand is up and you are not talking. It looks like Rini has been muted. Okay, so how come? Okay, so you have been unmuted now.
So my question is, when the act occurs once, does that one also constitute sexual harassment, or it must occur more than once before you can say you are being sexually harassed?
Oh, no, it doesn't have to occur more than once. It doesn't. I mean, if you feel that that is what it is, because that is why you can stop it. When you see that this is it, you can stop it. So it can just be once. Some people will just not come back again. Okay? But when you do not, then that is when it comes up, it repeats itself consistently. So it doesn't have to be once. Okay, once can constitute sexual harassment, okay? But it can also be repeated. Do you get it? There are some people that when they are abused, sometimes they end up accepting it, isn't it? And then they become abused all the time. The abuser abuses the abused. Okay, so it can be more than once. It can be once. Priscilla, I see your hand. Priscilla, you have the floor. Oh. I don't know why, Priscilla, can you unmute yourself? Because...
Yes, okay, Stay. I was unmuting it, but it wasn't working. Ask him this question. So you have an Italian supervisor at work, and I know that the Italian culture, they touch a lot. But sometimes you feel that it's a bit inappropriate. How are you able to differentiate between his cultural attitude towards touching? Because there are people that I know like to touch when they are talking to people, and then you feeling that he's harassing you in a certain way. How do you draw the line without also making it not seem offensive to the other part?
Well, I think that you have to be aware of it, that you cannot live in an environment and not respect the culture of the environment. I can assure you that when you go to the UK and you are having a conversation with your colleague an opposite sex, and you go closer than about 1 meter closer to the person, it is going to be seen as harassment. You are invading the person's territory. Okay? We talk to our colleagues, ladies, and sometimes you touch them on the shoulder, or even you put your hand around their neck and all that, and it's normal. You cannot do that in other jurisdictions. Okay, so yes, when we touch in our setting, we know what if the person is not going to harass you. They will not touch you at certain parts of your body with it. So if the person does that, and you think that your space is being invaded, you need to let the person know that, sorry, I'm not quite comfortable with this. And then you have to just make it a point that the person should know that this is not something that you want to encourage. Now, if you say that you don't want to appear as if you are being odd or something, then it's going to continue. It's how you go about it. It's how you go about how you say it. If you say that, sorry, I'm not comfortable about this, that will be it. Okay? But if the person continues, and sometimes you will know whether, you don't have to say a word for you to know what the person is thinking. Sometimes you will know that this was not intentional. This is not being harassing you. You can know that this was not intentional, but sometimes you can still know that it's premeditated. So as long as you don't make a point about it, you will not be able to stop it. And remember that you cannot go to their culture and do something that is not tolerated. I've given an example that when you go closer to a female in the work environment abroad, it is seen as harassment. Okay, you can be in serious trouble. The culture there is said that this can take you on. So you need to be also able to raise issues when you believe that these are things that are affecting your person. If you don't talk about it, it's going to continue. Really, please allow me if we are mute. Okay. I didn't do that, so I don't know why. What about if the female beneath makes the sexual advancement to the boss and entices him? Well, you remember that if there's agreement to it, as I said, then it's not harassment. Okay, if two adults decide to do their own thing, well, it's not harassment. But if the female does it to the male and the male is uncomfortable about it, then it is harassment. So the question I was asked, what about if the female beneath makes the sexual advancement to the boss and entices him? Then it is harassment. And you have to do the same as the woman would do by saying to you that, sorry, I don't really like this one. All right. So I see a hand up again. I don't know whether it is really coming back the second time before right. Rina, are you coming back again or it's all right?
Yes, sir. So I have a question. So, sir, please, can we say that sometimes those who are sexually harassed bring it upon themselves, or what? Like, I'm asking, because sometimes for women especially, some women are such that they are endowed both front and back, and then they go about wearing attires that are body hugging. It hugs their body, and we know that men are moved by sight. So when you do this, and it's like a man sees you and starts this one saying something like, "Hey, Biden, who for like that kind of thing." So no, can you say that you did it yourself or something? I just want to know. At what point do you take a blame for yourself as well?
Well, but if I say to you that by way no for, I don't think that is harassment. Okay. But the point is that we have to be very careful to say that yes, women can dress the way they want to dress. We do not want to move in a direction where we are going to be prescribing attire for how women must dress. But it's also important. The way you dress says a lot about you. Okay, it says a lot about you. People like what they like, isn't it? It's not every person who the way you are dressed will mean much to them. Okay, some people prefer people who dress formally, who dress in a very, they don't like their women to expose their bodies for other people to see. Okay, so people have got interests. So those kind of women, they get their kind of men, isn't it? They get their kind of men. Now, the point is that if you have decided to show your curves and whatever you want to do, that is a choice you make. I will not be the person to say that you know where the attire you want to wear. But you also must know that you invite. It does not give a man the right to harass you. That does not give. That one will not be acceptable to say that because of the way she's dressed, that's why I'm harassing her. You don't have the right to do that. So, and some also dress for a reason, don't they? So, once you have a reason for why you dress the way you dress, then obviously, whatever comes with it, you should be. But my point would be that when anyone is harassed, the rules must work. The rules must work. The law must be applied. The policies must apply. And I've told you that at the university, there are policies on sexual harassment. They are enforced. And for your information, the sexual harassment committee is not chaired by a man. Okay, I guess it's largely dominated by women. So when you go and face them, you know that even when you are not being harassed, when women ask you questions, sometimes you cannot even answer, can you? What about if they are asking sexual harassment question? You will not be able to answer. You are going to be in trouble. So the point is that this is a difficult one, you see, in terms of people bringing it upon themselves. I think that people have a choice how they want to dress. I share that view. But they must also be willing to know the repercussions. Yes, you may win the case at the end of the day, but advising themselves. Matilda, do you want to?
Because thank you, sir, for the floor. Please comment on something related to what Rini said. I would like to know if you are a lady and you experience sexual harassment, and maybe you report to the authority, and then they are attacking you that you should go and marry because you are single. That's why the men are worrying you. I want to know whether it is a right way to address the issue. That if you are a lady and you are single, they have to force you that you have to go and marry because you are not married. That's why you are being harassed. Thank you.
Oh, well, I think that, Matilda, this would be very unfortunate for somebody to say that any boss who sits on a seat that this comes before you and this becomes your response, you are not fit to sit on the seat. Okay, so if you're a boss and somebody reports sexual harassment issue to you and your defense, your submission is that you should go and marry, that would be very unfortunate, and I hope that this does not happen. But if it does, then it's problematic because it will be highly unacceptable. It's highly unacceptable. People choose to do what they want to choose. So you should deal with the issue rather than demonizing the person who is being abused. That cannot be acceptable. And I hope that if you have a boss here who has given a response before, you first have to bow your head down in shame and obviously not repeat that. Okay? What right has somebody to abuse somebody else? But you don't have the right to abuse anybody. Nobody has any right. And so you don't have a right to say that go and marry. Sexual harassment is mostly the female's word against that of the males. It's so difficult to prove, especially when the male denies. How do you let your voice known, especially with the subtle, okay. When the male deny, how do you let your voice known, especially when with the subtle ones? Well, I understand what they're saying. The subtle ones, you could certainly, if you have HR, you can mention it. I know it's very difficult. It's very difficult, but you have to deal with the person who, whatever you call subtle, must let the person know. You know, there are some people that sometimes, as you see, we've gone through in the survey that was done. Some say that they don't even know. So there are some people that if you let them know, they will not. Okay, they will not. So you have to make your voice heard. Let that subtle thing be known that if you do this, I feel harassed. I'm sorry, please. Can you not do that? You have to voice out. You deal with it the first time to nip it in the bud. Yes, please. I have a question, but I'm unable to nip it. It's true because some men actually enjoy being harassed by a lady. Well, then it means that the man is not being harassed, isn't it? The man is not being harassed. The man is enjoying it. So there's an agreement between the man and the woman. So that if you're enjoying it, it cannot be harassment. That's the point I made. That if the man passes a comment even to the lady and you are smiling all over and you are, falling off because of that comment, they turn back to say harassment, then there's a problem, isn't it? Harassment will be real harassment, will go provocative. Men are not moved by sight. Yeah, okay. Not all men move by sight. Yes, I'm not moved by sight. Please, I've lost my co-host. 2+ you lost, but 2+ the day has already ended. I don't know why you lost it, but don't think that when you talk about beauty is in the eye of the beholder, they say, that, and beauty goes beyond features. You must understand. Yes, I'm not moved by side, Dr. Please, I've lost my co-host. Theophilus is concerned about co-host thing. Then are you sure? Okay. Abigail is asking, well, you just can't. Well, I mean, society tends to blame the ladies when there's sexual harassment case. Yes, it's true, but it does not mean we should not talk about it. Abigail, I will close my eyes if there need be. Well, you don't have to close your eyes. Okay, so that is that one is also sexual harassment. And OBM is really detailed because it has it all. How some of the street hawkers hold you in trying to get your attention to buy them. Oh, but Betty, that one will not be harassment with it. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, so I'm not how some trying to buy them. Well, I don't know how they hold you, but this whole sexual harassment to be first one-sided sometimes because we live in a side where once a woman points as accusing finger at you, sometimes you are punished before your case is heard, even if you are innocent. Yes, I know, but the point also is that you must have a response, isn't it? Why do you think that you have been accused? Yes, as I said that it's not a one-way street; it's a two-way street. But it does not mean that women are not being harassed more than men. It doesn't mean. I mean, the truth is that women are harassed much more. And if you look at that's why I showed you some statistics from the States, that showed. It's 2017 that a lot of women are harassed. And if you look at the way men talk about the fact that they do not even know what constitutes harassment, it's like they know, but they are pretending they don't know. Okay, so let's not pretend that I know society thinks the way you are saying, Joseph, because of the fact that sometimes men also go through harassment and it's assumed as if they are not being harassed. But most of them, I saw a comment from one person who was saying that men enjoy being harassed. Okay, and if you are enjoying being harassed, then it's not harassment. Can it be? Cannot. Harassment is exactly what it is. Okay, harassment causes pain to people. It makes life very difficult for people. It makes people uncomfortable moving in certain environments. People sometimes are affected psychologically. Somebody can just pass a comment. And remember that harassment is not necessarily saying good things about people. It can be looking at your features and saying some very negative things about you. So don't think that it's a one-way street. Okay, it's one-sided. Yes, so the nice features, they may comment on it, but people can also say things that are very, very negative and can have huge impact on your self-worth. So we should never tolerate it. Yes, one-sided, the women are agreeing, isn't it? You are very right. If you're a lady that's getting married, prevent you from getting around by bosses. No, so that argument is not solid. Married women are even harassed them more, isn't it? Not at all. So you first won't tell us a good story. Yes, that is how men are. Men always keep things very close to their chest, if you don't know. I'm not surprised. That's why I didn't push Theophilus, because I know how men think. The women are dying to hear from Theophilus about their previous experience, but you are not going to get it, because that's a typical example of a man. Even Theophilus will not tell his very good friend about this. So on that note, we'll have to bring the class to a close, and we'll continue with some of the actions that we can put in place, managerial actions to prevent sexual harassment when we meet next time, and then go through what we have to do. So on that note, we have done more than we're supposed to do 2 hours max. We've done more than that, and I think that we have to bring the class to a close. Joe, do you want to say something now?
Sir, please, can you please enlighten us a bit on end of semester, some areas, and how we should prepare for?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say to you is that we don't do areas. We don't do areas. So I don't give areas, because all the things I teach are very important. I'm not a lecturer who say that, look at this, don't look at that. I've never even done that before. Because the questions I'm going to ask are things that we are discussing. When I sit down to write the question, I'll just write them. I don't want to think that I said I'm not going to say a question on sexual harassment. So why am I saying question on sexual harassment? I don't do that. So that was the first. The second point is that I will firm it up next week, but there will be an in-sitting exam. So you take the exams on site. I'm going to go for 60% potentially course assignments in terms of IE, and then 40% exams. So that's what I'm going to do. And I will firm it up next week. Normally, in real life, we have exams 70% and then IE 30%, but I'll be going for 60% IE and then 40% exams. So, good IE. Oh, okay. So Abigail reminds us that Monday is a holiday. So would you consider lecturing? Abigail, thanks for that. I think that we should meet for about an hour or so. Life must go on, I think. Okay, so we'll meet at the same time. Okay, so rather let's do 8 o'clock. Okay, let's do 8 o'clock. So there will be lectures. I think we should just let's keep to the usual time. Abigail, 7:30. I'll aim for it, so that we don't lose out. It's holiday. I know that the last time I said to you that I'm entitled to a holiday, but this time I'm going to meet with you because I want to. All right, so thanks very much, and we wish you well. Bright has been very controversial in the class, asking very interesting questions. Do you all know Bright? Theophilus, do they know Bright? Bright Tete or Tete?
No, sir. Sir, I don't.
So one day we have to know all the people who are asking the interesting question. Matilda, Bright, Naomi, and Coach Theophilus, the guy who cannot answer the greetings thing.
Sir.
Matilda, yeah.
Sir.
Yes, Theo.
Please,
yes.
Please, looking at the examples you've given from the slides on what sexual harassment is from the survey conducted in a different jurisdiction, I'm trying to draw a line on how we would also define what sexual harassment is, because in our setting, the elder is always right, and you have cases where most of people who are being harassed are from within family, uncles hitting the butt. Hey, see how they are talking about some people touching private places where they're not supposed to touch in the name of like validating their nieces and their nephews, those things. So how do we define sexual harassment in our context?
I think we have to end the class too. First, we can look at this next time. But if you hit your niece's bum and you say that to trouble and all that, it is you are not validating, you are abusing the person. Okay, I'll be very worried if somebody does that. Certainly to my daughter.